There we go.
Ha!
Ha.
So, Morgan Donner, I will check it out. It will be easy because that has been showing up in my feed. And the thing I had something to add. Nope, complete change of subject.
Okay.
Last week, Abby and I lapped, you and I, on Return of the King, but I didn't expect this. It was the exact same passage on the exact same day. I figured that at some point Abby the reading to Abby would lap, but like on a Wednesday or a Friday or something. But no, this was
Nope.
last Monday. We got this far, and there's a bunch of stuff in the interim that you and I haven't discussed yet, and I kept wanting to discuss it with him, and then realizing that that would kind of mess it up as a story. Like we don't want to mess up his involvement in the story.
Yes, yeah. The time for analyzing is like your second time through.
Exactly. He really enjoyed the Paths of the Dead. He was actually coming up with things to compare it to, and I was like, yeah, probably very haunted house like. Except what I wanted to discuss with you, of course we're not there yet, but when we get there, is that there were teenagers in the Rohirrim that got drunk together and dared each other to go through the halls of the dead. Like there's no way that there this whole no one has stepped foot there for 1,200 years. Of course they did.
Well, no one has survived stepping foot there for 1,200 years.
Yeah, but you know that drunken teenagers did. They just were afraid to tell their parents. So like every generation figured that they were the first ones to step in, and then they heard something and panicked and pissed their pants and ran away and never told anyone because they knew they'd get in trouble.
Oh, I was thinking drunk teenagers dared each other to go in and then got slaughtered by ghosts.
No, because then that would be part of the mythos. Like 75 people have entered in the past 1,000. Nope, they think no one's entered. And there weren't extra skulls. That was all PJ.
I mean, I thought that the number of skulls was roughly equivalent to the number of ghosts, and there were just more ghosts than we saw.
There were a lot more ghosts than we saw, but there is one skeleton mentioned, and it's the skeleton of Baldur. And which I was realizing as you read it, Tolkien doesn't tell you who the fuck that is. Some guy is lying there very, very, very dead. And Abby's like, who's that then? Well,
I don't know.
Child, Baldur, the heir of Brago, who built the hall, made a very foolish vow on the day that they...
Look at your mouse. Sorry. The cat is of the opinion that I have her catnip mouse, and in fact, it is directly outside of my grasp. So,
you have it.
I do not, ma'am. See if I can. There we go.
Damn.
There is
Eowyn coming. Halbarad. I would say Halbarad is the best character left out of Return of the King, except he really doesn't do anything. He's just kind of filler.
No. Sorry.
Is she chewing?
Yes, she's chewing on my headphone cable. Cease and also desist, madam. Go away. Chew. No, it's gonna last for about 30 seconds.
Right?
Get off the table. This is why I can't knit during podcasts anymore.
Yep.
I will be coloring in a coloring book today.
And she's not going to eat your pencil?
We'll find out. Currently, she's eating a bug, so...
I had an excellent quote. That was... I don't think I told you about this. All right. So I've been reading I just finished How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Mm-hmm. And in there, he was talking at one point, and I'm reading it, but with the back of my mind, like quote hunting for my own purposes, right?
For your own purposes, yes.
For my
Have we
own
talked about the fact that every time I hear the word purposes, I hear porpoises?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway.
For my own dire purposes. Because I require a quote for each. I don't know if the internet knows that, so I'm reiterating this. Whenever I'm doing the write-up for the metaphysical properties of the cards that are the elementals, and each metaphysical write-up starts with a quote. I'm opening with quotes, so I needed to find 118 applicable quotes, and some of them are easy because it's just shit that I've always known. I can quote Harold and Maude from memory, so I found a really good one in there, like in my brain, for carbon, which represents life. And,
Sure.
But there's another roadside attraction is where I got the quote for hydrogen, and it's just some of these are easy, some of them aren't. For Roentgenium, I found an awesome one a while ago because the only thing really known about Roentgenium is that it was named for the guy who discovered or invented X-rays, and that it emits no X-rays. That's it. It's one of those that barely exists. Like, they've made enough of it to count it, but so he represents irony, right?
Indeed.
Because, yeah. And I found, it's a long one, but it's a Dave Barry quote that was, things really picked up in 18-something when Wilhelm Roentgen, in an effort to find out if there was anything past W rays, discovered X rays, which allowed doctors to see inside of people to discover things like cancerous tumors, which, as it turns out, are caused by an exposure to X rays. So this invention came along just in time. It encapsulates the concept of irony, and it contains Roentgen's name. So I'm like, thank you. But in going back to the Michael Pollan book, he had a Sonoran Desert Toad trip. And I was like, oh my God, the Sonoran Desert Toad. I'm saying it right this time, aren't I?
Sonoran, yes.
Sonoran represents Berkelium. Like, that's who I got for Berkelium. And Berkelium's concept is intermission, because Berkelium is useful for fuck all. All it is one step in a decay chain. It exists merely as a step in a decay chain. So I was like, okay, metaphysically, that could mean just a sense of pause, a sense of, here is a moment of stillness in all of your craziness. Like, that's a good kind of card to have in your tarot deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Michael Pollan's Sonoran Desert Toad trip, as he's talking about how he was feeling after processing it. It's still in the same chapter, but I happened on an old email that ended with these words, which you should picture arranged on the screen like a poem. I hope whatever you're doing, you're stopping now and then and not doing it at all. So I was like, see?
There you go.
Like, well, yep, that's another sometimes they're easy moment. Yeah, I learned how to use an Excel spreadsheet to keep them organized, because even I can't keep 118 notes as notes organized. Fuck.
Congratulations and condolences on learning some Excel.
Just barely enough. That's all I need.
Exactly. Never learn more Excel than you have to. That's my goal. I was trying to teach myself some formulas, and then I was like, oh no, this blows, actually.
Wait a minute, I hate this. I hate everything about this.
I was like, I could automate my reporting, and then I was like, I don't want to.
I've got a column for their numbers, column for their names, and then the quote source and the quote, so that I'm not quoting too many, not finding too many from the same person, because that is a danger. I could just make them all Discworld quotes.
I mean, yes.
It's also given me an excuse to go out and buy more books. I didn't have enough.
I'm just like, oh, I guess one might need an excuse.
Well, I've got I dog ear my favorite quotes in any given book so that I can find them easily. I don't think that's actually an official dog ear. I think that just got messed up. Do. That's an official dog ear. Also, this made me kind of homesick for my misspent youth. He went on 3 trips he described, and one was mushrooms, and one was LSD, and one was the desert toad. I never did toad. But I did enormous quantities of LSD, like lots and lots and lots. And he keeps talking about how you have to be careful about set and setting. And it's really, really good to have a qualified therapist who knows what they're doing, because wherever you're at will be amplified by this drug. And I'm like, gosh, you don't say. And oh, you sweet summer sunflower with the therapist, man. Like, I think the closest I came to a therapist was the evening I ranted at the homeless guy I rambled across. Like,
I think that you and he were perhaps on slightly different wavelengths in terms of LSD usage.
Sense of personal responsibility as well.
Well, also you were like 18.
Yeah, you're immortal at 18, so you tend not to give a rat's ass about things like safety, or I didn't. I'm glad my kids do. My kids aren't nearly as stupid at 18 as I was. Thank the gods. Anyway, yeah, like... I've got stories. But right now we want to read, yes?
Yes, and I should pick a magical landscape in my Magical Landscapes coloring book.
Ooh, pretty.
Right? I've colored a couple of them. Let me see. I did that.
That reminds me, and it's apropos, I did actually watch Yellow Submarine on acid once.
Does it make more sense on acid?
It's boring on acid.
Really?
Every time I've done acid, it has sort of decoupled my brain from the immediate past. Mm-hmm. And that entire movie's sense of nonsense kind of hinges on the transitions giving you a discombobulated feeling. So if you don't have any emotional attachment to the way things are supposed to go,
I could see that. That would make it less of anything.
Yeah. It sort of makes sense, yes, but it also sort of doesn't really have anything to add to your experience. You're better off sitting in a garden or, dabbling your feet in the bathtub or something. If you really want a profound experience, don't bother with Yellow Submarine. Unless you're sober. When you're sober, it's profound.
I don't know if I would say it was profound necessarily. It's more fun, it sounds like, but...
Right? Yeah.
I never found it particularly life-changing. I wonder if it's because it was more made to sort of mimic the experience of being on acid rather than actually be fun to watch while on acid.
Exactly. And so when you are on acid, the two cancel each other out. You're wasting a trip and you're wasting a viewing.
Makes sense.
Right?
I am not likely to need that information because the hallucinogens are not for me. But
I don't know, reading this book might change your mind.
I doubt it. Sounds like an interesting book, though. I like Michael Pollan.
He is fun.
Are you trying to eat a bobby pin now? Him. Anyway.
And hallucinogens is a kind of a misnomer because you don't necessarily hallucinate. You can have some very profound insights. But yeah.
Yeah.
Hallucinating less so. I miss the world bitmapping. I miss stepping outside of my brain sometimes. Technically, it like he goes into all the science and stuff, and what we know so far is that it basically dissolves the ego, and that is such a welcome relief.
Get off the table. I'm gonna dissolve your ego, cat. Half of this episode is just me arguing with the cat.
Yep.
Okay, so we have two contenders. We have mountain and desert.
Oh, I like the desert.
Desert it is.
Yeah.
I got
the lightning.
I have the big box of crayons with the sharpener in the back. One of the best things about being an adult is you get to buy yourself the big box crayons.
Right. Not that we were particularly denied the big box of crayons as children, but we didn't appreciate it.
Exactly. No, we had shitloads of crayons, but a lot of my crayons were hand-me-downs from you.
Right.
Or from the daycare or whatever. I think I still actually have some of those crayons. I don't really get rid of art supplies.
No. Why would you?
I don't know. I guess if I was a Philistine.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I still have?
I've
got it right here. I'll show you. I
guess I don't.
Can I reach it? Oh, if I climb on this, I can reach it. Oh, please don't fall, Robin. Don't do it. Don't.
I second that. Avoid falling.
Okay, I'm cool.
Good.
Can you see? No, wait, you've got your thing turned.
No, I can see. Yeah. Oh my God, I remember those.
Yep.
I can't believe you still have those.
I still have both of our boxes.
Oh yeah, because I had a box too.
You did. And what we did, they were a present for what? Valentine's Day? It was one of those things. Like, and none of the pens were labeled. So Quinn and I went through and decided what name each one was going to have and labeled them. The blues were all the dwarfs. We had the colored Doc.
Look, I stand by that. That matches his outfit.
It does indeed. And this was when I collaged everything I owned.
As opposed to now when you only collage some of the things you own.
I don't have time for everything. It is very sad. Some things I have to paint instead.
It's a hardship and a trial.
So is living with your ego intact all the time.
For a second, I thought you meant my ego. I was like, hey, what did I do?
No, the literal ego, not the common parlance ego.
And also the general me, the general you, not specifically me.
In Irish, there is a singular you and a plural you, and I'm beginning to resent English for not having that.
That would be nice. I mean, we have y'all, but that doesn't really work for that context.
I may be misinterpreting, but I think the plural you is also like the generic you. If you speak Gaelic, let me know if I'm wrong.
I will pluralize this cat.
Oh, but she's like, but I want to color too.
She doesn't actually want to color. She wants to eat my headphones. Excuse me. Welp. No cords. How many times?
That was the last of my brownie. I will no longer interrupt for food.
I mean, you can't possibly be more disruptive than Julie and I. So.
It was the gluten-free brownie. It wasn't as good as Ghirardelli. Ghirardelli, make gluten-free brownies, please. I'm dying. I don't know what they put in their brownie mix. Probably cocaine, but there's nothing better.
Could you make brownies with Ghirardelli? That might be good also.
Possibly. But I would have to experiment with the flour.
Mm.
And that sounds like work.
It does.
So we were at the point where he was eating breakfast or possibly lunch with Barragont, right?
Yep, and he was about to go meet Burgil.
All right. Do-do-do.
Okay.
At length, Barragond arose. Farewell for this time, he said. I have duty now till sundown, as have all the others here, I think. But if you are lonely, as you say, maybe you would like a merry guide about the city. My son would go with you gladly. A good lad, I may say. If that pleases you, go down to the lowest circle and ask for the old guest house in the Rath Cellardane, the Lampright Street. You will find him there with other lads that are remaining in the city. There may be things worth seeing down at the great gate ere the closing. He went out, and soon after all the others followed. The day was still fine, though it was growing hazy, and it was hot for March, even so far southwards. Pippin felt sleepy, but the lodging seemed cheerless, and he decided to go down and explore the city. He took a few morsels that he had saved to Shadowfax, and they were graciously accepted, though the horse seemed to have no lack. And he walked on down many winding ways. Do you think that the only way from level to level is the main road that sweeps back and forth, or do you suppose there's little, like, alleyways and...
I mean, functionally with how cities work, I would assume there would have to be alleyways, but they would probably be, like, sort of unofficial or even not really allowed.
Right? Because you would want it to be not something orcs could swarm up.
Exactly. Like, that's the whole thing with having the city set up the way it is to confound enemies. So they would...
So, like, hidden little one-person alleys.
Yes.
That you could easily block in event of war. But otherwise, you're walking 7 miles to get anywhere, and I wouldn't... Ugh.
Yeah, I just can't imagine people really do that on the regular.
Right? Maybe there's ladders or other collapsible things that would turn each circle into an individual unit. But
that would make sense. Or I also wonder if people might have like passages through their house. Like, you could go through someone's house and up onto the roof and then into their, like, up the hill neighbor's basement. Right. But you would only be able to do that if you knew the person, so they wouldn't be usable to enemies. So they wouldn't know which houses had passages. Like, there would have to be something, because, like, ain't nobody doing that every day.
Doing that. Can you imagine?
Like, hey,
especially when it's
go
like,
to the corner store.
There's stuff going on down there. Like, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go to the corner store. I'll see you in 3 hours. Like,
yeah. Nonsense. Yeah. So more like you're picturing, like I am, a sort of Greek coastal city with, the highways and byways, but blockable or collapsible.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes the most sense to me.
And he walked on down many winding ways could totally be interpreted either way.
Yeah. Yep.
People stared much as he passed. To his face men were gravely courteous, saluting him after the manner of Gondor, with bowed heads and hands upon the breast. But behind him he heard many calls, as those out of doors cried to others within to come and see the prince of the halflings, the companion of Mithrandir. Many used some other tongue than the common speech, but it was not long before he learned at least what was meant by Nilifarianath, and knew that his title had gone down before him into the city. He came at last by arched streets and many fair alleys. Ah!
Ha ha! We're right.
Yes. And pavements to the lowest and widest circle, and there he was directed to the Lampright Street, a broad way running towards the great gate. In it he found the old guest house, a large building of grey weathered stone with two wings running back from the street, and between them a narrow greensward.
Greensward. Now I'm the greensward.
Greensward. Behind which was the many-windowed house, fronted along its whole width by a pillared porch and a flight of steps down onto the grass. Boys were playing among the pillars, the only children that Pippin had seen in Minas Tirith, and he stopped to look at them. Presently one of them caught sight of him, and with a shout he sprang across the grass and came into the street, followed by several others. There he stood in front. "Greetings," said the lad. "Where do you come from? You are a stranger in the city." "I was," said Pippin, "but they say I have become a man of Gondor." "Oh, come," said the lad. "Then we are all men here. But how old are you, and what is your name? I am 10 years already, and I shall soon be 5 feet. I am taller than you. But then my father is a guard, one of the tallest. What is your father?" "Which question shall I answer first?" said Pippin. "My father farms the lands round Whitwell near Tuckborough in the Shire. I am nearly 29, so I pass you there, though I am but 4 feet and not likely to grow any more, save sideways." 29, said the lad, and whistled. "Why, you are quite old, as old as my Uncle Iorlas. Still," he added hopefully, "I wager I could stand you on your head or lay you on your back."
I mean, what?
Oh, slang. You are a dirty bitch for changing so rapidly. "Maybe you could if I let you," said Pippin with a laugh. "And maybe I could do the same to you." "We know some wrestling tricks in my little country, where, let me tell you, I am considered uncommonly large and strong, and I have never allowed anyone to stand me on my head. So if it came to a trial and nothing else would serve, I might have to kill you. For when you are older, you will learn that folk are not always what they seem. And though you may have taken me for a soft stranger lad and easy prey, let me warn you, I am not. I am a halfling, hard, bold, and wicked." Pippin pulled such a grim face that the boy stepped back a pace, but at once he returned with clenched fists and the light of battle in his eye. "No," Pippin laughed. "Don't believe what strangers say of themselves either. I am not a fighter, but it would be politer in any case for the challenger to say who he is." The boy drew himself up proudly. "I am Burgle, son of Beregond of the Guards," he said. "So I thought," said Pippin, "for you look like your father. I know him, and he sent me to find you." "And why did you not say so at once?" said Burgle, and suddenly a look of dismay came over his face. "Do not tell me that he has changed his mind and will send me away with the maidens. But no, the last wains have gone." "His message is less bad than that, if not good," said Pippin. "He says that, if you would prefer it to standing me on my head, you might show me round the city for a while and share my loneliness. I can tell you some tales of far countries in return." Burgle clapped his hands and laughed with relief. "All is well," he cried. "Come then. We were soon going to the gate to look on. We will go now." "What is happening there?" "The captains of the Outlands are expected up the south road ere sundown. Come with us and you will see." Burgle proved a good comrade. the best company Pippin had had since he parted from Mary, and soon they were laughing and talking gaily as they went about the streets, heedless of the many glances that men gave them. Before long they found themselves in a throng going towards the great gate. There Pippin went up much in the esteem of Burgle, for when he spoke his name and the password, the guards saluted him and let him pass through. And what was more, he allowed him to take his companion with him. "That is good," said Burgle. "We boys are no longer allowed to pass the gate without an elder. Now we shall see better." Beyond the gate there was a crowd of men along the verge of the road and of the great paved space into which all the ways of Minas Tirith ran. All eyes were turned southwards, and soon a murmur rose. "There is dust away there. They are coming." Ouch.
One moment.
One moment, they say. They said it. I believe it. I'm here. Qua? Oh, they're still muted. I don't know what to...
I just had to yell at the cat.
Oh, okay. Has she stopped doing the chewing?
Yeah, then she got on the counter instead.
That's how she punishes you. I just realized that Abby has gotten out of taking a shower for like 4 days running now. Yesterday I realized Abby was looking incredibly wan with dark circles, and I was like, okay, too much screens, not enough actual fresh air. So I convinced him to go out walking around the... I filled up the tires in Ethan's old bike, in the old Ethan bike, Emily's old bike. And convinced him to try it because it fits him now.
Mm-hmm.
So Abby had his helmet, he was on the bike, and he was remembering how to ride, and it doesn't take long. He had it pretty good, but he was going very slowly, and I was right behind him and to the right, and I was just like a hawk, like mommy hovering, watching the child. We made it 10 doors down, and I misstepped, and I got my foot in the gutter, and my ankle twisted.
Oh.
And my knees hit the sidewalk, and my knees gave out, and I fell on my hands, and then my wrists gave. So I'm lying on my stomach on the sidewalk.
Oh, honey.
And Abby braked and got himself off the bike, and he was like, "Mom, are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. And then this sweet little mom lady came running out her front door like, "I saw the whole thing. Are you okay?" She's going to think of me forever as the Jenga tower impersonator. Oh, my God.
If it helps in a misery loves company sort of way, beginning of 2020, before COVID, I was out downtown with a friend, and we were walking, and I caught my foot on a crack in the sidewalk on 16th Street and just fell like a pancake. Just full face plant on the sidewalk. I had scraped up my chin, my cheek, because I turned my head, so I made contact with my cheek. Thought I was gonna have a black eye, and I was and of course people are driving past, staring at me. It's fine,
right?
It's fine.
And my wrists are so weak, and I knew that. I didn't know how weak.
Oh,
the knee that took the biggest brunt was a goose egg yesterday, and today it's probably bruised, but it's in exactly the same spot as my eczema, so it looks the same as it always does.
God, joints are the worst. My shoulder subluxed last night, or subluxated, or however you say that. It popped out a little bit. Ugh. So I just, all of a sudden, it really hurt, and I couldn't move my arm very much, and I was like, oh, God damn it. So I go to sleep, I pack up my pillows so I'm not lying on it, and I try to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. And then finally I got up at 5 to put food in the cat's food bowl, because that's when she wakes me up for that. And I moved it, and it went click, and I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, now I can do this again. It's a little sore today, but it was just so annoying, because I was like, I just want to go to sleep.
I have probably a cyst in my wrist right here.
Like a ganglion?
Yeah, exactly. But my usually very proactive doctor was like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. Live with it. If we drain it, it'll just come back. Nah.
Is it uncomfortable?
Sometimes. Sometimes it is quite uncomfortable. Sometimes it kind of goes down on its own. Now is one of the times when it's barely there. Whoa. So that's where it is. It's always a little bit there, but sometimes it's like a freaking golf ball. Shit.
Human body is so poorly designed. I'm going to
Complain
physical
of management.
therapy next week.
Oh.
I would like to complain to management, but instead I'm going to physical therapy.
Probably more proactive, that is. All right. Let's see. Pippin and Burgle edged their way forward to the front of the crowd and waited. Horns sounded at some distance, and the noise of cheering rolled toward them like a gathering wind. Then there was a loud trumpet blast, and all about them people were shouting. "Forlong! Forlong!" Pippin heard men calling. "What do they say?" he asked. "Forlong has come," Burgle answered. "Old Forlong the Fat, the Lord of Lothrinach. That is where my grandsire lives. Hurrah! Here he is, good old Forlong!" Leading the line, there came walking a big, thick-limbed horse, and on it sat a man of wide shoulders and huge girth, but old and grey-bearded, yet mail-clad and black-helmed, and bearing a long, heavy spear. Behind him marched proudly a dusty line of men, well armed and bearing great battle-axes. Grim-faced they were, and shorter and somewhat swarthier than any men Pippin had yet seen in Gondor. "Forlong!" men shouted. "True heart, true friend, Forlong!" But when the men of Lothrinach had passed, they muttered, "So few. 200s, what are they? We hoped for 10 times the number. That will be the new tidings of the Black Fleet. They are sparing only a tithe of their strength. Still, every little is a gain." Like, shit.
He's here, and he brought 200. Oh. Yay!
Hey. Yeah. Like, okay, Black Fleet, we get it. We get it. Hell, you're housing all the women and children we sent away from the city, so yeah, it would be a very good idea for those not to get slaughtered in their beds by corsairs. But fuck.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, by the way, but I was just having a lot of fun acting out that scene.
I loved it. I loved it. Out of the corner of my eye. You were definitely a Gondorian extra.
I was, except for when I was a Lothrinnakian extra. You know, kind of shorter.
Do they call themselves Lothrinnakians?
I don't know.
Could be. I think it's 50. We could do another couple paragraphs. And so the companies came and were hailed and cheered and passed through the gate, men of the outlands marching to defend the city of Gondor in a dark hour. But always too few. Always less than hope looked for or need asked. The men of Ringlow Vale behind the son of their lord, Dervorin, striding on foot, 300s. From the uplands of Morthond, the great Blackroot Vale, tall Dwinhir with his sons, Duilin and Derufin, and 500 bowmen. From the Anfalas, the long strand far away, a long line of men of many sorts, hunters and herdsmen and men of little villages, scantily equipped save for the household of Golasgil, their lord. From Lamedon, a few grim hillmen without a captain. Fisherfolk of the Aether, some 100 or more spared from the ships. Hurluin the Fair of the Green Hills from Pinathgelin with 300s of gallant green-clad men. And last and proudest, Imrahil, Prince of Dol Amroth, kinsmen of the Lord, with gilded banners bearing his token of the ship and the silver swan, and a company of knights in full harness riding grey horses. And behind them 700 of men at arms, tall as lords, grey-eyed, dark-haired, singing as they came.
We're men in tights.
I was actually thinking, there she was, just walking down the street, singing,
She looked good.
Look good.
She looked good.
She looked fine.
That's true. The green clad men would be singing Men in Tights.
Yes, indeed. The tragic, the bittersweet thing about reading this little paragraph about the men from the Outlands coming in is that at least 3/4 of these names show up in the poem that is Mourning the Dead a little later.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when they were talking about like the people spared from the ships and stuff. Is like, yeah, they spared as many as they could afford to have not come back because they knew they were fucked.
Yeah. The rote of names in the After the Pelennor Fields poem is includes Forlong the Fat. I'm pretty sure Durluin's 2 sons get slaughtered. Everyone in or Imrahil turns out fine, but who gives a fuck about Imrahil? Imrahil is the Glorfindel of Return of the King. Like, absolutely unnecessary hot stuff. Like, oh, he's such a badass, and he's in every scene, and he does nothing for this story.
I feel like we talked about that last time when everyone was like, blah, 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 Imrahil. And I was like, who the fuck is Imrahil? I don't remember him. And you were like, that's because he does nothing.
Does nothing. He's just there.
He shows up and does like a pose. and that's it.
That's it. He fights, but his flag is flying over all of the things, like, all of the time, and you're like, who are you?
Ship and the Swan.
What?
Gilded banners. Who gilds a banner? Pretentious.
Yeah. And the poem has a line that is kind of haunting, and it's the red fell the dew in Ramasechor. Like, holy shit, man.
Gross.
So gross, but also, wow, tragic. And that was all. Less than 3,000's full told. No more would come. Their cries and the tramp of their feet passed into the city and died away. The onlookers stood silent for a while. Sure.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
Dust hung in the air.
Somebody like drops a ring of keys and everybody's like,
like, or whenever there's like a Simpsons crowd scene and someone scratches their butt really loudly and that's all you can hear.
Everyone's just standing there like, sharing an awkward moment together with all of your neighbors.
Right?
Yes.
Who you should get to know real well before we're all slaughtered, as Baragon so kindly pointed out. Except he didn't put it that way, but get to know the men while you can just sort of has a very nihilistic ring to it.
Well, was he wrong?
Dust hung in the air, for the wind had died and the evening was heavy. Already the closing hour was drawing nigh, and the red sun had gone behind Mindoluin. Shadow came down on the city. Pippin looked up, and it seemed to him that the sky had grown ashen grey, as if a vast dust and smoke hung above them, and light came dully through it. But in the west the dying sun had set all the fume on fire, and now Mindoluin stood black against a burning smoulder flecked with embers. "So ends a fair day in wrath," he said, forgetful of the lad at his side. So it will if I have not returned before the sundown bells, said Burgle. Come, there goes the trumpet for the closing of the gate. Yeah, like, yes, poetry. They're gonna spank me!
I gotta get home. They're lighting the streetlights.
Fuck. They always light ours first. It's the lamplighter's street.
Point.
Boy.
So I don't recall if I told you last week, but next week I cannot podcast.
I will forget. Please text me at some point and let me know.
Okay.
Why? What's going on?
I'm getting tattooed.
Oh, yes. Oh, you did tell me. I'm so excited. Have you had more conversations than you had last week?
I have not yet. No, I need to email her.
Right. Okay. Well, then make sure you post pictures of process and stuff and things. I have been in a slump with my videos. Like, I haven't posted one in 3 weeks, and I feel like an absolute asshole. But, I mean, there's 12 people watching, so I feel like 12 people worth of asshole rather than more. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. Burgle. Is Burgle the best character left out of Return of the King? No, it's got to be Baragond.
It's Baragond.
It's totally Baragond. He is such a badass, and he gets shit done. Like, the story is weaker without him because he has that whole arc of saving Faramir's life and shit.
Agreed.
What?
I said agreed.
But did we ever decide who was the best character left out of Two Towers? Because I don't remember coming to a... Quickbeam.
Oh, yeah.
It was Quickbeam.
Yeah, it was.
I don't even remember any other characters that were left out.
Hama was less cool, but he was there.
He was there. So was Gamling. Oh, but Erkenbrand wasn't. But Erkenbrand is the Glorfindel of the Two Towers because he
does nothing.
He does nothing. He's a badass who exists and has no arc or bearing on the story. So,
yep.
So many Glorfindels. I love you.
I love you too.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, unless we chit chat between now and then. And Avi's birthday is next weekend.
Okay. Yes, I do know this.
So if you wanted to come down to be part of this family celebration for his birthday on Friday or Saturday, that would be really cool. But I did not expect it because I know you're busy.
Well, I work Fridays and Saturdays.
Ew.
Yeah, I know, right? Gross. Worst.
Well, then we'll do FaceTime, and he can tell you what it's like being a 10-year-old. I'm sure he's dying to let you
Double
know.
digits.
Double digits. Also, it's his golden birthday. You don't remember the...
No.
I accidentally unplugged my stuff. Hang on. Hoi. When your birthday matches the day of the month.
I don't know if I have heard of that before. Probably because mine was when I was 3.
3, yeah. I was 26, so it actually mattered to me. But yeah. Jason thinks it's a made-up Hallmark thing, and I'm like, you shut up.
I mean, what isn't?
Right? I mean, one more reason to celebrate, and you're going to knock it down? Like, no.
All right. I love you.
I love you too. Cuidado.
Liamas.
Mwah.